Hey everybody, TEW 2013 with Bookworm of 5 More Minutes. Took a week off last week, had a little vacation, time from work, so I just kind of hung out and relaxed. If you notice, we got the episode 3 of Comic Book Hero up. Go ahead and check that out. Today, I asked on the forums last night. I didn't get too many responses, but the two I got were just time to. I was having trouble deciding if I wanted to stick with TCW and the C-verse or show off some mods. I decided to show off the Gennady just re-released a updated version for 2013 of his Montreal Aftermath mod. It starts in December of '97. It's a pretty impactful time for wrestling if you don't know about it at that time. Bret Hart decided to leave WWF for WCW because Vince couldn't pay him the amount of money that he had promised him at the time, and so he let him out of his contract to negotiate with WCW. At that time, he was the world champion, and there was a big deal with Survivor Series in November where Bret didn't want to drop the belt to Shawn Michaels, who he had real heat with at the time, heat being a wrestling term for they had problems, and so they ended up doing a double cross, a real life double cross, where they made it look like Bret Hart tapped out when he really didn't. There's big controversy that actually Bret Hart and Vince McMahon actually didn't make up in real life until just a few years ago over all of that. And Shawn and Bret actually have made up, and they actually last year released a really cool sit-down interview with Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, with Jim Ross interviewing him about the whole thing, where it all started, how it all went down, and everything was really good. It's on Netflix, I believe, still, if you want to check that out. So we're going to be playing at that time period. One person suggested 97. The other person suggested WWF. So we're going to be doing that. First, if you remember from the first episode, we're going to be picking our user character. I'm just going to filter for people working within the WWF already. I like to keep a little bit of realism that way. Try to pick someone, either that, I'll either try to pick someone within the company, or I'll do like a kind of in my head a story where like someone from maybe WCW decides to leave, and they get the book. So we'll do a quick pursue over here maybe, and see what would be interesting. I'm thinking as this goes on, if you've read any of the diaries in the forums at greydogsoftware.com/forum, scroll down to 2013 section and you'll see the diaries. They like to do like picks and everything. Like if you pick the right winners, you get to win a prize. So I'm thinking maybe I'll do prizes here. I haven't decided how I'll do that, but like you guys get to make suggestions of what to do. If I like your suggestion, I'll do it. If not, well, I won't do it. But right now we're going to be picking our user character. If I'm going to do someone from WCW, it'll kind of be someone that I felt was underused but really talented, like a William Regal or a Raven, that Vince is desperate. He just lost Bret. You know, at the time, this was the time where WWF took off, using the Attitude on the back of Vince McMahon creating the Mr. McMahon character, and Steve Austin skyrocketing and being able to play that whole thing. It really brought them from the edge of nothing. They were about to shut down. They were losing money to the point that they're pretty much the only game in town on their level. TNA is, while I personally like TNA, they're a little bit further down on most people's radar. So let's see. What I would do here if I pick someone from WCW would be someone that was underused but pretty talented, that could go over and be like, hey, let's change this up and let's do something. So that's just a matter. I see this name right here. This is a controversy for most people. Chris Benoit. I look at every single game I play in TEW. It's an alternate universe, so this Chris Benoit hopefully will never do what he did in real life. If you want to know about that, you're welcome to look it up. Wikipedia, Chris Benoit, and you'll find out. I'm not going to go into it here. It's just not something that I want to discuss. So moving on from that, if you have issues with how I use him, if I end up using him, just know it's an alternate timeline, and so it can be done. I think I'm actually going to pick Raven. I think he'll fit well with that whole style. We'll give myself a little bit of a reputation. He did some booking for ECW, and he's been known to have a pretty good mind from the business. I've watched shoot interviews. He's pretty intelligent, so we'll just say average. And This game I'm going to do a little bit different because it's WWF 97. This is going to be a fun game. I'm going to be doing a cheat code. It's the Sophie code. I'll show you how to do that in a second. It basically gives you all the user talents. It's just a little bit more difficult. You guys have seen the mechanics of how to play already, and I just want to have fun with this game and see where it goes. So I've been entered as an avatar. I don't want to use the user characters in the game, and we are going to be the WWF, and I will be the booker. We currently have one show every Monday night, WWF Raw is War. Let's see here. So this is how you go into remote. You go down here to remote assistance in the options. If you type this in, I gotta remember to do this now. If you notice, that's help me backwards. If you are a fan of Al Snow, you'll know why that is. If you hit continue at this point, it'll show you a whole list of cheat codes in the game and what you can do. The only one that matters to me is the Sophie code, which is a great shout out to the EWR franchise, which was the earlier version of this game, where Sophie was your assistant and told you all the things you needed to have done. So now we have full there. I got to put myself on the roster, and we're hopefully going to be pretty mid-card will work for us. I haven't decided. I'm a huge Raven fan. I've always thought he was severely underrated as a wrestler and as a mouthpiece. I'm gonna try not to use nepotism too much with myself, but at the same time, I'm a talented person that could probably do well, but not so talented that I'm Tommy Cornell. So we'll go ahead and close that up. Marlena needs a client, so what's going to be really interesting with this is because this is real life, there's a lot of issues that were going on backstage with morale, with drugs, with everything. So it'll be interesting to see what is going to happen with relationships and all that different stuff. I think it'll flow a little bit more. So she's a face. It's always the hard part, is trying to figure out who really needs a manager. This actually would work really well. Because for those of you that don't know, Goldust and Ahmed Johnson did have a little bit of a feud at some point, so to have Marlena go with him, that'll work really well. They can do that. You're not a real man to Goldust, and he is. Speaking of storylines, let's see what we got. Well, there we go. Goldust with Luna versus. Oh, that's the wrong one. So, this is a mod, so when Gennady redid this one, if I'm saying your name wrong, let me know, Gennady, if you're actually watching this. That way I can get it right. He didn't really set up the new things, the alliances and everything, so we're going to end most of these, just because it allows us a little more freedom to book kind of how we want. Everyone here, okay. So we'll go ahead and end these storylines and be able to kind of go from there. That's how I usually book in my head, is my storylines, and then I play it as is. So as you see, we only have $5 million, so we got to be careful with our budget. You will see me sign more guys this time around, just because there's a lot of young talent that I'm going to want to pick up as soon as possible, things like that. We'll go over our hidden gems list here. I'm going to pick up Christian, and I'll pick up Edge as well in a minute. No. That's the one thing I hate, is working agreements. There is an alliance system for the first time in this version, which we didn't touch on the other one. And that's kind of what I wish more people would start doing with the mods, instead of these working agreements, which prevent you from being able to sign people from them. If they put in talent trades on the alliance, it allows people just to go back and forth between companies at random. You can get a guy, or they might borrow one of your guys. It just automatically happens, and it's a lot nicer than this system, because then I have to go in working agreements. I'm going to try to get a parent company going here. We'll go with All Pro Wrestling, see how they were. All Pro Wrestling, by the way, for those of you that live in the Bay Area of California, really awesome company, ran by Roland Alexander. They train guys like Crash Holly, Spike Dudley. The Great Khali trained there. Don't hold that against them if you don't like his style. He's just someone that's never going to be able to work that well, but he does what he can for his size. Daniel Bryan actually did a stint as a trainer there after he was pretty big for a while. So there's been a lot of guys that ran through there. If you're really looking, this is my personal plug, Supreme Pro Wrestling in Sacramento is the best place you can get training. They have some of the best trainers I've ever seen, and it was a great experience when I worked there. Or when I trained there. I didn't work there. I was a little too old when I started training and didn't really go too far. So sadly, I wish I had though. So we do want to pick up Adam Copeland, who is the future Edge. We're going to sign him to a big contract because, you know, he's Edge. And we all know how well his career panned out, so hopefully we can do the same with that. And one thing I'm going to do, this will allow, basically I want as many people I can hire out of WCW. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over there and collect, this is just guys that work for WCW only, and we're going to shortlist all of those guys. Whenever their contracts comes up, we'll know automatically about it now, and not have to just try and find out every time. And then if we filter this to hire only with the company, we can it shows guys that we can hire away from them because they're like on a they're not on a written, they're on a per appearance deal. While I'd like to pick up Scott Norton, he is loyal to New Japan, so that's not going to happen. And we will probably be booking on the next episode because I've already kind of gone on a little bit, so we'll just go through and hire a few guys. Trying to think of who I'd like to hire based on, I'm playing WWF. They're not known for for small guys. They never really had a cruiserweight division. They had a lightweight division, but it was never really booked strong like it was in WCW. Not that WCW ever booked too strong, but they did enough to make people care about it. So we're going to be slightly realistic with that. I am Raven coming in as a booker, so you know, hopefully I'll start pulling that in slowly as it goes on. There are a few guys I'm going to bring in that are smaller. Of course, he works for ECWA, so we have to wait for that. But hopefully we'll make a pretty good impact from that. Don't want to bring Rhino in yet. Maybe if I get a development deal. One other thing I'm going to do real quick that I want to touch on. I see this question pop up in the small question thread a lot. If you go into the editor and go into your company info and you go into your product, this is a lot easier to do it this way, just because there are things I just personally don't agree with as far as how things are set up based on what I remember from watching at that time. This is the amount of matches I should have on a pay-per-view. Most pay-per-views do not have talking segments. There would not be 70% matches and 30 to 40% talking. So I put that at 90. With 90, I can do some talk, but not a lot, but it gives me leeway. For TV, I'm going to balance that at about a little over 50%. It allows me to do at least 2 10-minute segments. I'll probably book more just because I'm trying to book realistic. If I'm not booking realistically as far as that goes, just call me on it and I'll try to remember. And the other thing I do just for my own fun is I set all these at 5 minutes. This is the amount of time you need to have a match be for it to not fall under any penalties. This goes off of I believe it goes off of the people in the match and their push. If you set them all at 5 minutes, you never have to worry about it. This is just stuff that I do, so we don't have to worry about it. Just a quick look at that. Everything is good there. This is just things that I personally do. If you don't like it, I'm sorry. But as WWF in '97 did not have a vocal fan base, that they were not a cult company. They did not cater to cult. Really, if we want to do it, we'll go to preset products, which is something I didn't get to show you last time. This is, again, something new. It's different templates. We'll go to Attitude Entertainment. I guess according to that it is. But I still don't agree with that, personally. I never thought they were a cult company. For me, like as the cult says here, it's a rebel counterculture. And that to me screams ECW, not WWF. WWF had bad stuff in it, but it wasn't counterculture. It was still very mainstream. And at that point, to me, putting in a bunch of cult stuff just doesn't matter. So this is just kind of tweaking stuff that I do personally, for me to make it feel more appropriate to the time period. Hardcore was never medium. I'll put that at low. Just trying to get rid of that vocal. Okay, there we go. There was highly risky to me is probably going to be 75 and above. I don't think anything WWF ever did, including Val Venus and the Choppy Choppy Pee Pee, was ever going to be highly risky. It was risky, but not overly. So I think we'll be good there. This to me feels very WWF, so we'll go with this. Risque is heavy. that works. So yeah, I think we'll be good there. Let's check a data check real quick. That's just for these two things right here to make sure in the right section, and we'll be good to go with that. If you have a problem with me editing all that, it's my game. If you don't like it, feel free to voice it. I'm not trying to make it easier on myself. I'm just trying to make it to me feel like the actual WWF and not. And it's no knock on the mod maker. I mean, every mod is different. Every mod maker is different, and it's a personal feeling that you got from the company. And if you don't feel what you're seeing is what it is, you know, it's fine. Don't. You know, I personally, once they got into the TEWs, I can't mod. I don't have the patience for it. I don't have the ability to wrap my mind around each of these individual stats, which is just not even a fraction of the stats, because you can see Booker T is not fully scouted, which I'll get into scouting maybe on another episode to fully explain what it is. It's just another new feature. But you can see, like, just right here how many stats there are, and it's a 0 through 100 base, and it's just a lot of stuff. I can't mod, so I applaud guys that do. I personally just do small tweaks to each game when I play and go from there. I didn't check my time before here. I started here, so forgive me for that. You see the Patriot is out for, wow, a year and almost a year and a half with a injury. That's not good. We don't have. I don't think there's any drug. No, there was no drug testing going on at the time, so we'll get to deal with that fun stuff another time. So yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else I should do before we go. Let's just take a quick look at our champions. We got Triple H as the European champion. He's probably too over for that, so we got to find a way to get him to drop it. The Rock's Intercontinental, that'll be good. We don't have a light heavyweight champion right now. It's actually one of the storylines I ended. We'll just kind of crown that champion when we get to it. Michaels is the world heavyweight champion. He just won it last month. Historically, he held it till the next WrestleMania, which would be in March, where he lost to Steve Austin, then had to retire. We'll see how that goes. I don't know what we'll do with that. I have an idea of pushing certain guys that weren't pushed before, so we'll see how that goes. And then we have the New Age Outlaws are the tag team champions right now. Those are some guys I really enjoy playing around with and seeing what they can do. Good. Every mod is slightly different, so we'll see how each of my individual famous. Oh, yeah, there we go. Example of why the code was that. Al Snow helped me, but he wrote it in the mirror, so it was backwards, and that was kind of one of his gimmicks. He's kind of crazy. So that's the Easter egg of the code there, is Umpla. Has helped me. I'll just go over our roster a little bit here. I'm thinking I might actually play a little bit off camera. Not this day, because I want to book the first show on the next episode, but I want to get some surprises roster-wise and try and pick up some guys that you guys won't know about to keep you on your toes. So this will kind of be like a video diary. I might actually post this within the diary section as well as on the main page. So I believe that's all. So you guys have a good night. I'll see you next time in 5 more minutes. We will be booking our first WWF Raw's War of December with Raven.